Burkina Faso was bleeding. Terrorists were attacking villages in the north. They burned schools, killed farmers, and kidnapped children. Every week, new names were added to the list of the dead. People were scared, tired, angry. But the government in the capital stayed silent. Foreign powers made promises but never helped, and many soldiers refused to fight. But in the middle of the chaos, one man was different. Captain Ibrahim Traoré. He was a young army officer, quiet but brave. His eyes were sharp, his voice calm. He didn't care about money or power. He cared about his people. In the barracks, soldiers respected him. On the streets, young people started wearing his photo on their T-shirts. Some called him the Young Lion. Traoré saw what was happening in his country, and it broke his heart. He had buried too many friends. He had seen children running from gunfire. And he knew the truth. Burkina Faso was being controlled by outside hands. Rich countries gave fake help. They wanted gold, not peace. One night, it rained hard in Ouagadougou. Thunder cracked the sky. That same night, Traoré and a small group of loyal soldiers made their move. No violence, no speeches, just a clean operation. They entered the presidential palace before dawn. The old president was taken away peacefully. Soldiers took control of the radio, airport, and parliament. By sunrise, it was done. Traoré appeared on national TV with his military cap on. He spoke slowly. "We did not take power for ourselves. We took it for the people. The time of fear is over. The time of freedom has come." People danced in the streets. Market women gave free food to soldiers. Taxi drivers flashed their lights. For the first time in years, the people felt hope. But behind the smiles, powerful enemies were watching. They saw a problem. Traoré wasn't listening to them. He wasn't begging for weapons. He was planning something bold. He wanted to bring in Chinese fighter jets, fast, modern, and not controlled by Western countries. He wanted to fight back, properly. And that made him dangerous. Cliffhanger. In a dark room inside the French embassy, a man in a suit whispered on the phone, "He must be stopped before the jets arrive." Captain Ibrahim Traoré knew words were not enough. The terrorists had guns, trucks, and even drones. Burkina Faso had brave soldiers, but no strong weapons. If he wanted to protect his people, he needed power in the sky. He needed fighter jets. But the West was not helping. They offered old guns, second-hand tanks, and too many conditions. They wanted Traoré to follow their orders. He refused. Instead, he looked east, to China. China agreed to help. They offered modern fighter jets, fast, deadly, and affordable. The deal was secret. Only a few people in the military knew. Chinese engineers arrived quietly. The jets were flown in at night and kept hidden in remote air bases. Burkinabe pilots were sent for training. Traoré believed this would change everything. With air support, his army could strike terrorist camps before they attacked villages. He could watch the borders from above. He could finally fight like a president who truly cared. But not everyone was happy. Some top officials were angry. They said Burkina Faso had no money for jets. Others said the West would punish them. But Traoré didn't listen. He said, "I'd rather be punished by foreign powers than be cursed by my people." The first jet was tested in the sky. It flew fast, smooth, and strong. The soldiers cheered. The people felt proud. For the first time, they believed they could win. But then, something terrible happened. During a second test flight, one of the jets crashed in the desert. The pilot survived but was injured. The engineers were confused. The jet had no technical problem. It had been tampered with. Someone had sabotaged it. Traoré ordered an investigation. What they found was worse than expected. A small tracking device was hidden inside the jet's control system, a spy chip. Someone had leaked the jet's arrival to foreign agents. That same night, Traoré received an encrypted message from intelligence. It was short, but shocking. There is a traitor, a high-ranking officer. He gave them access, and he is still close to you. Traoré sat alone in his office. His hands were shaking, not from fear, but from anger. He trusted his men. He fought beside them. But now one of them was helping the enemy. He knew he had to act fast. If one jet was destroyed, the rest could be next. And if his enemies found out his full plan, it could mean war. Captain Ibrahim Traoré could not sleep. There was a traitor in his army, someone he trusted, someone who had access to the fighter jets, someone who wanted him dead. He had to find the snake before it was too late. Traoré came up with a plan. He invited 6 top officers to a secret meeting in the forest outside Ouagadougou. No phones, no guards, only the sound of wind and birds. These 6 officers were close to him, brave men and one woman. They had fought beside him. He looked into their eyes. He wanted to believe they were loyal. He gave each of them a secret file. But each file had different false information, fake locations of jet storage, fake troop movements, fake codes. Then he waited. 2 days later, it happened. One of the fake locations was attacked by foreign mercenaries. Nobody died, but the message was clear. Someone had leaked the info. Now he knew. The traitor was Colonel Zongo, an older officer, respected by many. He had trained Traoré when he was still a young soldier. He was like a father to him. Traoré couldn't believe it. He called Zongo into a private room. No guards, no handcuffs, just 2 men in uniform. Zongo didn't lie. He didn't run. He spoke calmly. "They offered me more than you ever could," Zongo said. "They said you were dangerous, that you would bring war, that Burkina Faso should not fight the West." Traoré stared at him in silence. His heart was heavy. "You were like family," Traoré said, "and still, you chose money over your people." Zongo was taken away. He would face justice in front of the army, not behind closed doors. But the betrayal was not over. That same night, a foreign drone flew over the presidential residence. It was armed. It circled for 5 minutes, scanning everything. Luckily, it was shot down before it could strike. But when they checked the drone's camera, they saw something shocking. The drone was not watching Traoré. Captain Traoré didn't waste time. As soon as he saw the drone footage, he rushed to his mother's village, Gawa. He didn't go with a convoy or TV crew. He went quietly, with only a few trusted soldiers. But when he arrived, it was too late. Smoke filled the air. The village was burning. Homes were destroyed. Crops were gone. Many people were dead. The ground was still wet with blood. His mother was missing. A small child came running from the forest, tears on his face, holding something in his hand. It was a burned scarf, the same one Traoré had given his mother years ago. He took the scarf and dropped to his knees. This was no random attack. It was a message. Terrorists had come in the night. But these were not normal fighters. They had new guns, foreign bullets, satellite maps. Someone had helped them. Someone with money and power. But something happened that Traoré did not expect. The villagers did not cry. They did not run. They stood up. Even the elders. Even the children. They said, "Give us weapons. We will fight." A woman with gray hair raised a machete and said, "If they come for us again, we will not die like sheep." News spread fast. Other villages heard about Gawa. In the west, in the north, in the deep south, people formed small groups to protect themselves. They called it People's Watch. Farmers, teachers, tailors, and drivers joined. They did not wait for help. They became the help. Traoré saw a new fire in their eyes. Not fear, but strength. Unity. He returned to Ouagadougou and stood on a burned rock in the middle of the city. Thousands of people had gathered to hear him speak. He raised the blood-stained scarf in the air and said, "You have burned our homes, but you will never burn our spirit. We are not weak. We are not afraid. The people are rising, and we will not stop." The crowd roared. Flags waved. Drums beat. Soldiers cried. Burkina Faso was no longer just defending, it was waking up. But then, just as Traoré stepped down from the rock, a sound cracked through the air. A gunshot. Everyone froze. The bullet was flying straight toward the president. The bullet was fast, deadly, aimed straight at Captain Traoré's chest. But the boy moved faster. Nobody knew his name. He was only 16, skinny, wore sandals and a torn shirt. But he jumped in front of the president like a soldier. The bullet hit his arm and passed through. Blood poured and people screamed. Soldiers rushed in. The boy fell. Traoré knelt beside him and held his hand. "Why?" he asked. The boy smiled weakly. "Because you are the only one who cares for us," he whispered. "You fight for us, so I fight for you." His name was Isaka. He had walked 40 kilometers just to see the president. He said Traoré gave him hope. He wanted to join the army when he was older. But that day, he saved the commander of the nation. The shooter was caught quickly, a hired sniper with fake documents. He had crossed the border just 2 days before, paid in gold, trained in Europe. This was no random attack. Someone had planned it carefully. Someone powerful. Back at the palace, doctors treated Isaka. The president stayed by his side the whole night. That photo of Traoré holding the boy's hand went viral across Africa. Millions saw it. Some cried. Some stood up. Some finally believed. The next morning, the streets of Ouagadougou were full. Not with fear, but with fire. Young people came with flags, mothers with cooking pots, old men with walking sticks. They stood outside the army base and shouted, "We are ready! Train us! Let us protect our land." Across the country, volunteers poured in. People's Watch became an army of its own. Men and women who knew the land, knew the language, and were ready to die for their villages. Meanwhile, the foreign enemies grew nervous. Their spies failed. Their attacks failed. Their lies no longer worked. Traoré was still standing, and now the people stood with him. They tried one last trick, a full economic blockade. Food and medicine were blocked. Banks froze accounts. Fake news spread saying Traoré had run away, but the people refused to break. Farmers shared food. Youths printed real news on paper and spread it by hand. Local doctors made medicine from herbs. The country didn't fall. It adapted. Then came the turning point. A group of villagers, using old motorcycles and information from local elders, found a terrorist hideout in the forest. They didn't wait for orders. They moved fast, surrounded it, caught 6 fighters alive. One of the men was a translator, and he spoke. He told them everything. The terrorists were being armed from a nearby country. The guns came in through a secret airstrip at night. Foreign agents helped plan the attacks. And most shocking of all, a former Burkinabe minister was working with them. He wanted to return to power, and he didn't care how many people died. Captain Traoré now had proof, names, photos, flight records. But he didn't go on TV to shout. He went to the people. In a dusty stadium, packed with over 30,000 citizens, he walked to the middle and held up the documents. His voice was steady. They called us poor. They called us weak. They wanted to divide us. But we are not afraid. We are not slaves. We are Burkinabe. The people roared. Traoré announced a final mission. Operation Unity. Every village had a role. Farmers would feed the fighters. Women would treat the wounded. Elders would guide the paths. Drones from China would fly above. And the people, trained, ready, and angry, would march. The army and the people became one. They moved together like a wave. Village after village was freed. Terror camps were burned down. Enemies ran. Some surrendered. Others cried when they saw grandmothers carrying rifles. Then, at last, they reached the secret airstrip. It was guarded by foreign mercenaries, ex-soldiers from across the world. But they were not ready for the fire of the Burkinabe. The battle was long. Smoke and bullets filled the night. But by dawn, the flag of Burkina Faso flew high. The enemies were gone. The airstrip was taken. The people had won. Traoré didn't hold a victory parade. He didn't give himself medals. He returned to Gawa, his mother's village. It was being rebuilt. Bricks instead of mud. Schools instead of graves. Laughter instead of silence. His mother was never found, but her scarf now hangs in the presidential office, a reminder of the cost. And Isaka, the boy who took the bullet? He recovered. He now trains with the military, but everyone already calls him the shield of the president. Burkina Faso still faces many problems, but something has changed. The people are no longer afraid. They have learned a truth that no enemy can erase. A country is not its gold. It is not its borders. A country is its people. And when the people rise, no power can stop them.